Hello everyone, thank you for joining this webinar. Today is the 9th of February and we'll cover counters. This is a part of our series of deeper dives into enterprise asset management for Dynaway, specifically for Business Central. And we have a brief, very short introduction, so if we can click to the next slide, yes. So it's me on the right, my name is Mikkel, and I'll be your wingman here on the show. If you have any questions, please use the chat log. The main man on the stage today is Christoph, and Christoph will take us through the presentation and the concept of using counters within asset management. With that being said, Christoph, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Mikkel. Today, a little different. I will start with small information before on our presentation, and then I will move directly to our system. So, what in fact are counters? I wanted to start from this. So, imagine that we have some asset. In this case, a printing machine, and for us, counter is that we can count how much time or how much quantity such asset produced, right? So for this can be our counters, but not only, right? So imagine another asset, totally different industry, right? And accept those which we also can assign, for example, running hours. I don't know if it makes sense for the big track, but it can be, or how much tons he delivered. But we also can track how many miles or kilometers such asset was doing, right? So for us, the counter is something like a car mileage counter in your car. So it's linear, it's still going, and we can predict the time when something will happen or when we need to do the maintenance. So that's the examples of counters. But one asset, and let's make it on our example here, in fact, is from many assets. You know it already, we have an asset tree, so we can structure that each of our, for example, components of this big track can be our asset. So that's why one counter, which in this case, for example, is the counter of the of our track, knows that, okay, our asset did 10,000 kilometers, but this tire also made 10,000 kilometers, but we need to change it when we will reach 15,000 kilometers, right? So this is the maintenance which we will would need to do for this specific asset, which is one tire, but we counting all the time on one counter, in fact. But imagine another situation. So our another asset broke at 5. We had a flat tire. I don't know how problematic it can be with that such big tracks, but you can imagine that we have a flat tire at 5,000 kilometers, and then we need to replace this tire when we have 20,000 kilometers, not 15, like with the tire which we have here. So that's when we have one concept of the counter. It's still the same counter, but you can see that on each asset it can work differently, right? This will mean that this one is already used by 10,000 kilometers, but this one is just a brand new, and if we say it's still 10,000 kilometers, it means that we just were using it for 5,000 kilometers instead of 10,000. That's why one counter, in fact, means something different on each, can mean something different on each asset. So how we have it in the system? First of all, let's start from the counters. So if you will go to the counters, you can create many counters too, as many as you like here. And they can be assigned already to the asset, but they don't need to. In most cases, you will have such a counter assigned to the asset. The counter category code, in fact, for us is this: is it a running hours, is it a kilometers which it did, or any other, for example, how many water was going through the pipe, or how many quantity we produce on the machine, and so on. right? So that's something which you can use. The second is useful information is a type. For us, we have two types. One is a counter continuous, and that's by default, and one is counter relative. So the difference between those two is that when we register the counter which is continuous, and I can do it very easily here, I need to specify the exact value which is on the counter. So in this case, I need to specify higher number than 857. If it will be less, system will say, oh, something is wrong, you shouldn't be able to specify that. Of course, you can reset the counter, and then you can start from the beginning. But with the continuous counter, it is like next number. So you can use it, for example, for the car meter, where you put exact value which is on the counter. You don't know. You don't want to say how much was the difference. And relative one is little different. So we can specify the exact value which we would like to have. So in this case, instead of 218, I can put 4, which will end up with the same value, right? Like 280. So let me put that. So now you can see in my readings, which I have here, I also can click buttons show entries. I will see what is the reading value, and you can see it growing for us. Another thing which you can use with the counters is if you are using our module for the manufacturing, you can connect the counter with the work center or machine center. You need to specify the number, and then you can specify if we are tracking running hours, runtime of the machine, or quantity which was produced. And based on that, system automatically, when posting the production order, will also update our counter. It will be shown in the counter journal, and you can review it and post. Few other things which I would like to show you here is the charts. So with the counter, we have two charts. One is showing us how much time we register every day. Right, so as you can see, this is my new counter. I started in January. I bought a machine. So I started registering every day 6 hours. But then something happened on exactly 8th of January, and we registered only 4 hours. On 10 January, on 9 January, we registered 2 hours, and then we had something that we didn't use the counter for 2 days. It may be that the machine was broken, our asset which was assigned to it was broken, or it may be that we were not using machine because someone has holidays. But later we started again, and everything was okay with our counter. And today, as you can see, we already worked 8 hours with this counter. So that's one which I would like to also show you how it can be if you don't have structure counter. As you can see, this showing me every day different registration, which probably you will have like this, but you can also, thanks to that, control a little what is going on with your counter. The other chart which can be useful for you is the chart which is showing us the registration in the continuous mode, right? So I can see that every day I was registering something, and at this moment my counter is 857 hours in this case. But why we need it? That's something which you can also put here is a trend, and the trend allows us to predict when some value of the counter will happen. Of course, it may not, but we're at least trying to predict it with Dynaway EAM. So if you see from here, I will reach 1,500 hours somewhere in May. So system try to predict it, and based on that also try to put item requisition and resources which we will need for the counter. Okay, how to add asset to the counter? You cannot just put one line. You need to mount the asset to the counter. You can do it from here, or you can do it also from the asset. So when I'm mounting the asset, I need to specify what is the asset, what is the counter, and also I need to specify at which moment we should assign the counter, right? So it may be in the past because you forgot, for example, for it, but of course, most likely it is at the moment when you are doing the counter registration, mounting. You can, of course, also dismount. And what is the difference and why we need it? So if we will go to the asset, and let me just open our asset tree. So on my asset tree, and I will go to my asset, which has a counter, and then I have also my another asset, and I had a so let's see what we have on our asset here. So here you can see on the counter tab that I have counter which is mounted, and I can also see how much time our asset was working. So it doesn't mean that it must be exactly the same as a counter. It is exact how much time we register on the counter when the counter was mounted to the asset. So it's 218. In our case, it's exactly the same as counter had. But if we will go to the still gear, so let me open it, you will see that it's only 1010 because we dismounted the counter yesterday, and that's why I don't see the hours which we registered today. Right, so it was dismounted, we put it to the store, this asset is not anymore used by our team and maintenance. So that's one, but let me go to the another one asset, and let's open this. So this one only showing 8 hours because I mounted the counter today. So that's why I don't see it. I don't see 218, but I mounted it today when the counter had a value 210, and I started registering from today. So it's 8 hours, not 218. Why we need the counters? Of course, one is the information, which is bring us how many hours, how many produce the asset, and so on. But more important thing is that we would like to do some maintenance on the counters, right? Based on the counters. So I have 3 examples which I would like to show you today. One is that when we create a maintenance work order plan, we have an asset, we decide for what we need the maintenance, but we also can put the frequency, so when we would like to do it, right? And if I will click button schedule, I will see that I would like to do this maintenance every 200 hours, right? So you can see also that I have typed actual or fixed. What means actual? Actual means that my counter my maintenance will be done from exact moment when we register the finish the work order. In this case, we already have 200. We should trigger it on 200 hours, but we already used 218. So 218 plus 200 is 418 when we will register, when we will do the next maintenance for this work order. Of course, if we will finish this on 200, right? So let me release it, and if I will just for a second calculate the work order, okay, and do the simulations, you will see that exactly what I said. So 200 plus 200, 218, which we have now, plus 200, then we have 418. But then system thinks, okay, there is some fluctuation, so that's why the next number system automatically calculate when predict that we will need that. And as you can see, it's also trying to simulate the hours, the dates when we will have it. The second option is little different. So we have counter, we have our schedule on another counter, and instead of doing actual, we have fixed. I also want to show you something here. I can specify the value count, the value from which we will do the maintenance. So I can say, please don't do maintenance until our counter will reach 100 hours. So it will start thinking from 200 hours in this case. So our first maintenance will be from 200 hours. So let me release it and let me again calculate for you this work order plan. Okay, and if I will go now to the instances, you will see that only because we changed the type, we have 200, 300, 400, and 500, and so on. Why? Because now it doesn't matter when you will do the maintenance, system will automatically always plan the maintenance on every single occurrence of the counter. So in this case, every 100 hours, even if you will finish the work order on 299 hours, system will tell to you that in 1 hour you still should do the or counter reading, you should do the maintenance, right? So if we will reach the exact value which is for our counter, let me just delete this and calculate for us one more time this, you will see that I have my counters. We reach already 200 and we should do them. So as you can see, I should do it today because I reached my goal. It's already 200 hours. Great, I will do that. Let me just wrap up something which I would like to show you. So we have an option to trigger the work orders before we will reach the counter. So in this case, you've seen that I will not reach, if I didn't reach a counter, I will not trigger the work order. But you can say that, for example, I would like to trigger the work order 50 units before. So we don't know what is a unit. It can be running hours, it can be mileage, as you know, right? So 50 before, right? So it will already show in the planning when we will reach 250 hours, right? That's something which we can do. And as you can see, you can also have possibility to do it from the percent instead of the unit. So 10% faster than the counter will be triggered and you will be able to do the maintenance quicker. But what I can do is to show you that I will just say that I would like to do it 90 hours before in my case, and let release the work order plan. And if I will go to the planning worksheet, let's calculate, let's delete all lines first and let's calculate it once again. As you can see now, I have additional work order to be triggered, but as you can see, the plan date is 24th of February, and this is because system knows that it will not be today. We should do it on 24th. And that's where I would stop at this moment. We have one additional thing as well, which I cannot show you today. We are working on it. It will be possible to add multiple counters to the asset, but that's in the future release. Some of the features which you've seen today also will be part of the future April release, but the general functionality is already there. You can already use it.
Perfect, Christoph. Thank you very much for the presentation. Very useful, and I hope it made good sense for the participants here to have more clear insights to counters. Let's go back to the slides for a second. This is just one part of a series of different webinars that we completed. As you can see, the last one here on the list is going to be published as an on-demand webinar on the website shortly after, but there are also previous ones. So if you want to learn more about EAM for Business Central, then of course you can deep dive into these elements. There are also a few future upcoming ones. So Christoph, if you can click one more time. Then you'll see that we have 2 upcoming ones in a week. We have the next one, which is called the rounds and inspections. And then on the 2nd of March, we have failure registration. And it doesn't mean that we'll end our webinar continuously ongoing development here after the 2nd of March. But there could be new topics, there could be new areas, and of course, if you have something you want to see, then feel free to get back to us. Otherwise, we will try to go even deeper into the product. There'll also be other ones. There could be tips and tricks, overall presentations, where you'll also find some already. But if there's some general information you would like to have, then please get back to us and we'll try to fulfill that. But should you be new to Dynaway EAM for Business Central, then I would highly recommend the interactive guides, as it also says here on the screenshot to the right. So we have 2 interactive guides that you'll go to help.dynaway.com and find information there, and they will actually help you to get started. With this last slide, we want to say thank you very much for attending the webinar. We hope we'll see you on the future ones. Feel free to visit the recorded ones. And I want to wish you all a fantastic day, and we'll see you soon again. See you then. Bye-bye.